everybody. Welcome, everybody. This is not the first time that Donald Trump has shut down the federal government. He did it for a record 35 days in 2018 and 2019. And when Donald Trump shuts down the federal government, the Maryland and Virginia delegation come together and step up. We step up to support the dedicated, patriotic federal employees in our states, in the District of Columbia, and the 80% of federal employees who live in other parts of the country. And we know that when we support our federal employees, we are supporting every American across this land, because the American people are the beneficiaries of the public services that our federal employees provide. Federal employees come together to help support our veterans. They help make sure our food and water is safe. They help develop treatments and cures to diseases that impact every American family, and the list goes on and on. We will hear from some of them today. So when Donald Trump and Russ Vought over at the OMB, when they viciously attack our federal employees, they are attacking the American people. That is what they are doing. And this shutdown is different from earlier ones, because Donald Trump and Russ Vought and all their cronies are using this moment to terrorize these patriotic federal employees. That's what they're doing. In previous government shutdowns, federal workers got furloughed. They did not get fired. Firing and threatening to fire federal employees is part of the Trump administration's campaign to inflict trauma on our federal workforce. Trauma is not my word. It is the word used by OMB Director Russ Vought about what he wanted to do. Shame, shame, shame on Russ Vought and Donald Trump. And when they tell you that the shutdown is making them fire these federal employees, do not believe it for a moment. That is a big lie. It is a big, fat lie. It is also illegal, and we will see them in court. It's another lie, just as they're lying when they say federal employees who have been furloughed will not get full back pay when the government reopens. That is another lie they are telling. It is the law to make sure federal employees get back pay, because they had nothing to do with the government shutdown, and they should not be the ones who are punished for the government shutdown. What is happening here is this is all part of the Trump 2025 playbook, Project 2025. And it started on day one. It started on day one when Donald Trump brought in Elon Musk to take his so-called chainsaw to the federal government. Chainsaw was Elon Musk's metaphor, not ours. It's part of their Project 2025 playbook to get rid of hardworking, nonpartisan federal employees and replace them with partisan political cronies. It's part of their playbook to dismantle big parts of the federal government and contract out those services to their billionaire buddies. And we are here to say, no way. We are going to stop this. So the message we have today is very simple. Very simple. Donald Trump and Russ Vought, stop attacking federal employees, stop attacking the American people, and start negotiating to reopen the federal government and address the looming healthcare crisis is upon us. You may remember that candidate Donald Trump He said he knew nothing about Project 2025. He denied knowing about it because he knew it was unpopular. What did he say he was going to focus on day one? Bringing down prices, bringing down costs. That's what he said. Today, he's doing the opposite. Today, he is taking the reins of government to impose pain on federal employees and pain on the American people, as outlined in Project 2025, and he's doing nothing to bring down costs, including the ticking time bomb they left on health care costs for the American people. So Donald Trump, come to the negotiating table, bring down costs and prices, and stop inflicting harm and terrorizing federal employees and the American people. That is our message today. And now I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, this is Partnership Across the Potomac, Mark Warner.
Thank you, Chris, and good morning, everybody, and to our great federal workers. Thank you for being here. Although I have to tell you, you're probably going to hear similar messages from all of us. You know, it bears repeating, but I'll be brief. There are a lot of members here. We frankly want to hear from the federal workers as well. These are people. These are not political pawns. These are not trading chips in some political debate. We know right now the Republicans control the White House, the House, and the Senate. This is a Donald Trump Rust vote shutdown. It needs to come to an end. Truth is, well, as Chris mentioned, but the law that makes sure that federal employees get back pay was signed by Donald Trump. So the idea that he doesn't understand that everybody has to get paid back shows maybe how short his memory span is, or how arbitrarily he wants to pick and choose. And that is one of the things we've got also concerns. We'll get the government reopened, but we've got to also make sure that when a deal is struck, it is kept. Russ Vought at the OMB cannot pick and choose which federal programs to fund after Congress and the President has come together. We've got NIH scientists back here that have been laid off. How does that help us in competition with China? We saw on Friday a series of folks laid off from special ed programs, from the CDC, and then hired back later the same evening. A program that I've been involved with for a long time, Community Development Financial Institutions, CDFIs. They fired everybody in that department on Friday. I wonder if they knew that Donald Trump, in the last part of the COVID area, put the most money into CDFIs in modern American history. He has been the champion of that program. Now he fires everyone in that program. We've got to end this shutdown. They've got to come to the table on health care. We know in Virginia, we're already getting letters showing health care rates going from somebody in Roanoke making $800 or paying $800 a month. Their rates have up to $2,000 starting in November. We can do both. Let's get the government reopened. Let's stop this health care crisis cliff and make sure these federal workers get back pay and get back to doing their duty and helping the American public. I'm now going to turn it over to a great member of the delegation, Mayor Angela Ossoff.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I too want to add my sentiments. I'm proud to stand here this morning. I believe that we are on the right side of history and standing with our federal employees this morning, the ones who are the truest patriots our country knows, who have shown up. I've met so many of them who've shown up, some for decades, on behalf of the American people, didn't care whether the president was a Republican or a Democrat, because they are here to serve the American people. They are here. And dare I say that they have done it well. These experts, the ones who ensure that America's exceptionalism in so many cases depends on our prowess and research and science and medicine. And these are the people who have been targeted by this administration and targeted by the very sinister Russell Vought, who on day one virtually laid out what we are seeing here today. We are not here by accident. It was completely foreseeable that we would be here in this moment, because it was always the plan of the Republican Party and the plan of Russell Vought, whose words I give to you. He said, we want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. When they wake up in the morning, we want them not to want to go to work, because they are and further he said, because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down. We want to put them in trauma. What human speaks this way? But this is the plan of this Republican Party. Again, the same ones who have the whole keys to the kingdom, who control the White House, the Senate, and the United States House of Representatives. So this is their shutdown, and it was always their plan. They have ensured that they are working now, and I want us to be clear about what this is about. It is repurposing government to benefit their billionaire friends. It is not, because the greatest lie that was told was somehow these patriots and the experts are somehow incompetent, that this was about fraud, waste, or abuse. We know it's none of that. It is repurposing the government to benefit the billionaires. That is what this has always only been about. Donald Trump lied when he said that he was going to bring down the cost of groceries. He lied when he said he was going to make life better for all of us, and none of our lives have been better. The only lives that have improved have been the billionaires. The cost of groceries has gone up by about 3% this year. We've seen these tariffs that have caused the cost of goods to go up. And again, these patriots who have awakened, and I have, for example, neighbors who said their entire division was wiped out as of Friday in the Internal Revenue Service. Those who, as Russell Vought planned, who have felt traumatized as we approach the holiday season. The men and women, thousands of them in the state of Maryland, whose lives have been upended for no reason at all. And not only their lives, but our lives have been upended as well. That we now understand that when you call to get your Social Security check, we don't know whether anyone will be there to answer the phone. The critical services that the American people have come to rely on, predicting hurricanes, ensuring that cancer research goes forward. All of this halted for no reason at all. But what I want to say to all of our federal employees, the ones who, again, are not just people on a piece of paper, these are not numbers, these are humans. These are people with lives and families and children. The message that I say to them is, we woke up on this morning, and this is what we have faced, but there will be another morning that will surely come. It was Dr. Martin Luther King who said the arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice. This is unjust, it is unjustified, and this is the feeling that we've awakened with this morning, but I want them to recognize that another morning is surely coming. That none of this is sustainable, this evil cannot last. What we have seen happen to our federal employees, we're going to continue to speak out against. We want them to know we appreciate them. We appreciate your service to our country. We still need you. We still need what you offer our country, and we will continue to work until you can be able to offer it. So I want to thank my colleagues who are here today. I want to thank all of our employees and tell them to keep on keeping on. Again, this is not sustainable. This injustice cannot last, and we're going to continue to work until we have justice. And I'll say this last thing, all of my colleagues are going to say as well, but understand again to everyone who continues to ask why, the Republicans would prefer to shut down the government than to ensure your family has affordable health care. It's more than shameful, it is immoral, and it is a kind of immorality that will hurt our country for generations to come. So again, thank you to our colleagues, and I want to hand over now to Jessica Weinberg, one of our very courageous federal employees who is here today to speak.
I would just like to thank my Senator, Chris Van Hollen, for the opportunity to speak today and for the tireless work he's been doing on behalf of fired and tired federal workers and contractors right now. I was let go from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration on April 1st, or as we call it, the April Fool's Day Public Health Massacre, because what has happened is a travesty, not just for me, my family, and my community, but for the public health of the nation. I am here speaking out despite being taught for my entire 14-year career as a Fed never to speak publicly. I'm here balancing the need to spend time searching for jobs and providing for my family with the need to speak out about the travesty that has occurred and continues to unfold in this country. I'm a social scientist, and I was doing research on how to better communicate to the public for the Center for Devices and Radiological Health at the FDA. Our whole communication shop was decimated. People might not know what a medical device is, but it's everything from Band-Aids to pacemakers to CPAP machines to breast implants to brain implants to hip implants to contact lenses. Everybody uses a medical device. And the folks who let you know if your medical device has been recalled were all let go. Someone could have a pacemaker that's failing inside their body, or a contact lens, or a Band-Aid that's been contaminated, and the whole team who got the word out to your doctors, to your hospitals, to the community were let go. People will not know that their lives and safety are in danger. The public will be less informed because our office was destroyed. As federal workers, we didn't ask for much. We didn't want recognition or higher paying salaries we could get in the private sector. We just wanted to help keep the nation safe. We were focused on the mission, and we wanted to do our jobs. Now we are unable to go back to work, and our country is less safe because of it. And as the travesty continues, as more of my colleagues across the Department of Health and Human Services continue to be let go and tormented, used as pawns in a battle they did not sign up for, I feel for my colleagues. Those who received RIF notices over the weekend, folks from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and the Health Resources and Services Administration, among others. People who come in every day just wanting to protect the public. And for those people who are still working, trying to do their jobs, while being told that their work is either not valuable or too political, neither are true. I hope that we can restore and rebuild what has been lost as a country. For now, I'm doing what I can to speak out about what has been lost so we may try to rebuild. Not only am I a researcher, but I'm a mom. I have a 2-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. Over the weekend, my son, who is very toy motivated, asked if he could start 3D printing Minecraft Legos and selling them to make money for the household. He didn't want to make money so he could buy himself more toys, which he's always asking for, but so he could help us pay our mortgage. It was the sweetest and most heartbreaking thing he has ever said. He knows that mommy is out of work and we're worried about paying our bills, and he wants to help. So I'm here not just for me, but for him, so that I can help our country move in a better direction. I may not be able to do my job protecting the public from within the government, but I'm here to do what I can from the outside. I want to spread the word about what services and programs have been lost, and I want to do what I can to help rebuild and protect the public health, as I have done for over 14 years as a federal government employee. Thank you to Senator Van Hollen and Senator Also Brooks for what they're doing to protect the community and us fired feds.
Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from Steny Hoyer.
Mr. Booth, you just heard about the trauma that you are causing. Shame!
Shame! Shame! Shame! Shame! Shame! Shame! Shame!
I have 3 articles here. The pain from the government shutdown is about to hit the public, Americans, because those who work for America, who stand behind me, who stand in Washington, Maryland, Virginia, and every state in our nation, the pain will be because they have been traumatized. Vote. The next article says some GOP lawmakers want to get back to work. From wherever they are. We're here. We want to get the government back to work for the American people. The next article is hundreds of CDC layoffs reversed, but biodefense protections preparedness staff are still hit.
Danger! Danger! Danger!
Ladies and gentlemen, every authoritarian leader has had his grim reaper. Russell Vogt is Donald Trump's grim reaper. Trump even posted a bizarre video describing Vogt in those terms. That's who he wanted, a grim reaper. Grim is defined in the dictionary as sinister, savage, and ferocious. A trauma causer. Reaper is defined that which is used to cut down. Vogt swings his scythe through the federal government as thoughtlessly and dangerously as Elon Musk and the Doe's children did with their chainsaws. The effect, sadly, has been the same. Great damage to the government, the American people, and the morale, psychological well-being, and efficiency of the patriotic American workers we call federal workers who serve them. I want to close because we were told there was a 1-minute limitation on speaking.
No, keep selling.
The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission defines hostile workplace as one that, quote, involves unwelcome conduct that creates an intimidating, hostile, or abusive work environment. The Congress has said that is illegal. Now Russ Vogt once promised to traumatize our federal workers, saying, and you've already heard this quote, but it demands repetition. When they wake up in the morning, we want them not to come to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains.
He's the villain.
Well, these courageous people kept showing up because they love their country. They love their state, their community, and their families. And so they kept coming. Day after day, trauma after trauma, attack after attack. And they came. And America was served. And so Vogt and Trump decided, aha, we'll do what we've done before. We did it in 1995 over education and other expenditures, and Gingrich shut down the government. Just a year into his term as Speaker of the House. And then in 2013, they didn't like health care then either. They shut down the government so that Americans would not have the health care they need and want. And so today, they've shut down the government. Why? Because they want to stop Americans getting health care, which will happen on December 31st if we do not act. That is why we're standing here. That is why this is so important. For the American workers, our federal employees, yes. But for the American people, absolutely. Our federal workers are not the villains. The man, the reaper, putting them in trauma, he's the villain.
That's right.
They're the villain. Now, you may not get this analogy, but I want you to listen closely. But as the Blue Oyster Cult band once sang, we don't fear the reaper. We don't fear the reaper. We don't fear the reaper. We are going to keep fighting for Americans' health care and for our federal workers. We will make sure Russell Vogt reaps what he has sown with these illegal actions.
Now we're going to hear from Congressman Don Beyer, who's been a leader in this fight.
My colleague's eloquence is astonishing, but the great eloquence is the wonderful federal workers who stand with us today. So thank you very much. Senator Alsabrook quoted Dr. King saying the arc of justice arc of history ultimately bends towards justice, but it doesn't do it by itself. It does it because people use force, and the best force in the world are the federal government workers who have made this the best country in the world. Today I'm angry and I'm heartbroken. I'm angry because of the stupidity and the lack of vision, the cruelty and the sheer meanness of this administration. But I'm also heartbroken that the families of so many public servants, people have given up much higher paying careers, much easier lives to take care of our country, to make us the best government in the world. I'm angry because of all those fired HHS and FDA and CDC and NIH employees who without them, our healthcare will only get worse and worse. But I'm angry that all those Title I kids in Northern Virginia and around the country aren't going to have the Department of Education workers to implement the Title I funds. All those kids with disabilities who will be denied the chance of getting any kind of education. And I'm angry at taking health insurance away from millions, maybe 20 million Americans. Lives of pain and early deaths. I love my country. The people Donald Trump and Russ Vogt are firing love their country. They fired them illegally. The tens of millions of people this Saturday, probably the largest protest in American history, love their country. We will survive this president. All things must pass. History will judge Trump and his loveless, immoral minions very poorly. But good people, those who live to serve others, to make life better for all Americans, will prevail. Our Virginia flag says, Sic semper tyrannis. The tyrants will always fall. I'm angry and I'm heartbroken, but still full of hope. We will not be defined by small people who've not a drop of empathy in their soul. We have to take care of each other. At this point, especially in the Northern Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area, a lot of people are really, really hurting. It's up to us to step up and make sure that we take care of our families, we take care of our neighbors, we get ready for a much brighter future. This is not the end. We will keep fighting. Thank you. And with that, let me introduce a great American treasurer, Congressman Jamie Rose.
So Vogt and Trump say that some of the furloughed federal workers may not get paid when this is all over. That's illegal. We passed a law during the last...
Federal workers are being used as pawns. It's wrong, it's cruel, and it is unlawful. So I'm going to talk about what we are doing for civil servants before and during the shutdown, in and out of the courtroom. Democracy Forward is a national, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that provides legal representation to people and communities across the country free of charge. Our team has filed hundreds of legal actions since January 20th. We represent unions, nonprofit organizations, veterans groups, educators, houses of worships, small businesses, and more. We've secured multiple significant victories that protect Americans from harmful policies before a mix of judges appointed by presidents of both parties, including by President Trump himself. The impact of this administration is being felt across our nation in ways large and small. And in that building right over there, that one right there, this is being demonstrated by the threat that the president's shutdown poses to essential government services that all Americans rely on, and to the civil servants who tirelessly deliver them. Democracy Forward has led numerous landmark legal challenges to defend a merit-based civil service. We have secured reinstatement of probationary employees, challenged the unconstitutional politicization of the civil service in all its forms, and taken the administration to court over its Schedule F executive order and the fork in the road federal worker buyout program. A program that resulted in 2 million years of federal service walking out the door on September 30th. 2 million years. That makes America weaker, not stronger. And that was before the shutdown. When the president began threatening to fire civil servants during the shutdown as leverage in his negotiations, we sued on behalf of AFGE and AFSCME, the largest public worker unions in the nation. As soon as Russ Vought tweeted on Friday, we were on our way back to court to file an emergency motion to stop those unlawful rifts right in their tracks. The hearing on that motion is tomorrow, and no matter what happens, we will continue to fight these illegal rifts. We'll fight them tomorrow, we'll fight them next week, we'll fight them 2 months from now, 2 years from now, as long as it takes. We also helped launch the Rise Up Federal Workers Legal Defense Network. Rise Up connects federal workers whose rights have been violated by the administration with free legal consultation. We are going to fight these illegal layoffs, to hold this administration accountable to the law, and to make sure that whatever federal workers do once the government is again funded, there are people who have their backs, who are rooting and working for their success. Now let me tell you something. This administration does not understand federal workers. They think if they threaten them with layoffs, raise questions about back pay, generally abuse and demoralize them, that the federal workers will just beg for the shutdown to end. They don't get it. They don't get it. I do. I get it. I've been fortunate enough to work for and with federal workers for nearly 30 years. These members do. They represent more federal workers than anybody else. Democracy Forward does. We fight for federal workers every day. Let me tell you about federal workers. They're resilient. They are resolved. They are selfless. Did you all hear Jessica up here? She was 95% of the way through her speech before she even mentioned herself. Before she mentioned that heart-wrenching story about her son being willing to sell his toys to help them pay for the mortgage. She talked about the country first, her colleagues second, and only at the end did she talk about herself. That is what a federal worker is. They are committed to the Constitution and the rule of law. They will not be bullied, and it's time for this administration to stop demonizing them and start honoring them. Thank you all for inviting Democracy Forward to being here today and for being leaders for not just the federal workers in your districts, but for the entire civil service who works for all Americans. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, and Democracy Forward. Now we're going to hear from another person who's been working 24/7 to help federal employees, Congressman Glenn Ivey.
Thank you, Chris. Let's hear it again for Democracy Forward. They're doing an incredible job. Probably a level of legal work we haven't seen since Thurgood Marshall was leading the LDF. And we know how that turned out. We know how this is going to turn out, too. This is going to be a winner, right? Yeah. We're going to win. We're going to win. Now, I'm wearing a pink tie today because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I'm a cancer survivor myself. And one of the things that I never forget about that is that the reason I'm here probably is because I had health care coverage. And the fact that this administration is trying to take that away is disgusting. As a matter of fact, the $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid, coupled with the cuts in the tax credit extensions for the ACA, is going to mean millions of people are going to lose health care coverage. That's why we're in this fight. That's why the government workers in my district are saying, stay strong, don't give up, keep fighting that administration, because we want to make sure that we get the government back open, but people also get the health care they deserve, right? And to my House colleagues, they did this vote on September 19th, and Speaker Johnson and the rest of them hightailed it out of town, pretend like they'd done their work, even though they knew they'd sent a DOA bill over to the Senate. They knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. But shame is right. They left town. They've been gone 25 days and have never come back. But the senators behind me, the senators who were here, they're going to go back because the Senate's been in session and stays in session. They keep working. They haven't gotten it done yet, but at least they're here. The House Republicans have been absent without leave. I don't know if they're in the witness protection program or if we need to put Speaker Johnson's face on the side of a milk carton, but they need to get their butts back here in Washington and get the job done that they know they're supposed to be doing, right? Now they keep saying, you know, let's do the government bill first and the shutdown, and then we'll come back and negotiate the health care piece. But we know that okie doke, right? Because if they'd stayed here in the 25 days that have happened since they passed that bill, we could have easily negotiated a bill, right? And don't forget, the 8 months that led up to where we are now, where they passed the big ugly bill that cut the $1 trillion in Medicaid, and then passed that allowed the ACA credits to expire, even though they extended the tax cuts for the wealthy and permanently. They know they could have done the job, but they were afraid to do it, and now they're afraid to come back. But guess what? We're not going anywhere. We're going to win this. They're going to have to come back with their tails between their legs and agree eventually. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene's telling them, come back, you need to fix this. We're on board. We're going to make it happen. We're going to win this. Thanks, and keep up the great work. And now I introduce Congresswoman April Delaney.
So I'm April Delaney. I represent Maryland's 6th District. And I just have to say, I am honored to show up for work with all of my Maryland and Virginia colleagues. And I just want to say, for all of you who are across this country and behind me, I worked in an agency at the Department of Commerce, and I have never seen workers work harder, be more patriotic, step up in public service, and be there for the American people. So know that we all have your backs, because the trauma and drama has to end. And this is an unprecedented shutdown, and it is about health care, but it's also about a lot more. You know, my district, I represent 35,000 government employees, including parts of NIH and the National Cancer Institute and NIST and Fort Detrick and our Fire Academy. But I'll tell you, they are public servants who underpin our safety, health, and well-being as a country, our national security, and our U.S. innovation. But we're here because OMB and this administration doesn't want to make America great. I keep saying they want to make America break. They want to break our institutions, break how our agencies work, and break apart one of our greatest jewels. Jewels of innovation, but jewels that are revered around the world, our government workers. And most of all, I think they want to break our trust and our faith in our government and its working, and in one another. But we're not going to let it break. These dedicated civil servants who choose to serve our country and to make a difference, they did not choose to be harassed, to not be paid when they were unjustly furloughed or made to work, or under the pretense of efficiency, to have a government consolidate their power. Most importantly, and I think I have to say, kudos to Democracy Forward, because our courts, let's just give it to them again, because as a lawyer, and I agree with Senator Alsabrook, the art does bend towards justice, but we have to help it a little bit sometimes, and we have to come together as a force. And our courts are so important at this time, when my GOP colleagues across the aisle look at their shoes and unfortunately give up the ability to legislate and appropriate as they were supposed to do under their oath to serve the health and well-being and their constituents. But we're not going to do it. And whether it be the CDC and hundreds of children breaking out with measles, or emergency services with FEMA and NOAA and other things, or with cancer research, we know that these things are important to the American people, and that the retribution and cruelty that's being done by OMB and others cannot win. So this grim reaper that is going to sow what he reaps, but we are going to sow the seeds of a united force that stands up for our workers, stands up for our country, stands up for health care, but most importantly for our values in one another, who we are as Americans. You cannot love America and not love your fellow Americans. And I know that these government workers show up every day because they love America, they love who we are as people, and they are there day in and day out, and we have their back.
Yeah.
So with that, I give it to Johnny O, my colleague and freshman member also from the great state of Maryland.
Thank you, April. Thank you also to Jessica and to all of our federal workers, both here and across this country. Thank you for showing up every day and serving this country. Thank you for loving this country. Thank you for being patriots and for your selfless sacrifice in service to this country. I also want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry to our federal workers that you have become political pawns. I'm sorry that we have an OMB director and a president who wants to inflict trauma on you. We are better than this as a country. This is not what America is all about. And I want to thank my colleagues in Congress and the House and Senate to join that, pushing back and saying we are better than this, in solidarity with our federal workers who have been under constant assault by President Trump and his administration. We would all rather be on the House floor right now voting to reopen the government, to put our workers back to work, to give Americans health care. We are ready to pass a responsible bipartisan budget that does exactly that. I'll just echo the remarks of my colleagues and share 3 quick points. The first of which is these recent actions are not layoffs, they're not reorganizations, these are political purges, and they will make us weaker as a country. We are seeing thousands of hardworking Americans lose their livelihood, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they are being used as political pawns. And these are our neighbors, these are public servants, these are community members, and they deserve better. That's why I have introduced legislation to make it absolutely clear that under no circumstances may federal employees be fired during a shutdown. I'm pleased that we have nearly 70 co-sponsored that legislation, many of whom are my colleagues here today, but not one, not a single member of the House is a Republican on that legislation. So Speaker Johnson, if you care so much about these workers, sign on the bill, bring it to the House for a vote, bring us back so we can vote. Point 2, mass terminations will make this shutdown permanent. The American public will lose access to vital services they rely on each and every day. Inspecting food, processing tax returns, keeping us safe when we fly. And lastly, we must find compromise. We want to find compromise, but we cannot do that if we are not talking to each other. Once again, we're looking at another week with canceled votes. Most Republicans, as has been noted, aren't even in town, as the president has amnesia or doesn't really care about the law applying on things like paying our federal workers back pay. But there are no discussions because the president's not in the room. The speaker is canceling votes. People are absent. Let's get back to the table. Let's do our jobs. Let's pass a responsible budget and end this reckless shutdown. With that, it's my pleasure to invite up my colleague and friend from Virginia, Representative Suhas Subramanian.
First, I want to say thank you to all the federal workers and the contractors who are going without any pay during this time. Thank you for serving our country, for everything that you do. Just know that when you try to traumatize and attack federal workers and contractors, you hurt every single American, because those are the people that they serve and they protect and they keep healthy. And I want to say something. Actions speak louder than words. This administration and the House Speaker said that they care about federal workers, and yet they continue to fire them and traumatize them and celebrate their rifts. And they say that they care about veterans, and yet they continue to treat them like garbage in the federal government. And they say they care about parents and families and children, and yet they continue to attack programs that serve those people and fire people who are working in K-12 education. Actions speak louder than words. If you really want to end the shutdown, then Speaker Johnson, open the government so that we can reopen Congress so that we can reopen the government. That's the way to end this shutdown. Instead, we have Republicans at home who have not shown up to work. And so we need to end this shutdown by opening the Congress again. And so thank you to the good federal workers who have been serving us for so many years. And Russ Vought, if you're up there, you can listen to us. Just know that if you continue to fire federal workers during a shutdown, that we will see you in court. And if you continue to try to take away back pay from federal workers and contractors, we will see you in court again. And we will continue to fight in every single venue, in every single street corner until we make sure that we end this shutdown and we protect federal workers and we bring health care access to the American people. Thank you. I want to introduce the latest member, the newest member of our delegation, Congressman James Walkinshaw. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to start just by adding my voice of appreciation to our dedicated federal workers. I have the great honor of representing nearly 60,000 federal workers in Northern Virginia. These are folks who give of themselves each and every day to serve the American people. In most cases, could have been making a lot more money in the private sector, but have chose public service because they believe in it. And I want you to know, I want all of you to know that not only do those of us here today stand with you and support you, but millions of Americans stand with you and support you as well. And the voices of those Americans will be heard. The voices of those Americans will be heard. We had a festival in Fairfax this weekend, and I had conversation after conversation after conversation with federal workers. Some who had been fired months ago over the course of the 9-month assault that they've experienced. Some who are still on the job, doing their best to serve the American people with an administration that doesn't believe in serving the American people. But one conversation is burned into my memory. A gentleman came up to me and described receiving the illegal RIF notification Friday afternoon. He works at the Department of Education. He works on transition services to help young people, young adults and their families with disabilities navigate the difficult transition from secondary education to the workforce or to support in the community. And for folks that I represent and all of us represent who have disabilities, kids with disabilities, that is a challenging transition. And he was in tears. And he was in tears not because he lost his job. He was in tears because the families and the communities that he has served will no longer have those services. Those kids and those young people will be on their own. So if Russ Vought thinks he's punishing Democrats or thinks he's punishing federal workers, the reality is he's punishing the American people. He's punishing the American people. And that needs to come to an end. Russ Vought needs to come before Congress and explain to Congress and the American people why he believes he's above the law. And our Republican colleagues need to show up for work. They need to come back from their vacation, interrupt their tea times, show up here in Washington at the Capitol so we can sit down and negotiate an end to this shutdown, an end to Donald Trump's punishment of the American people. Thank you.
Well said. Let's give it up again for all of our federal employees. We want to fire Russ Vought and rehire these federal employees. We want to shut down this OMB and reopen the federal government. We're happy to try and answer any questions if there are any here today.
Good morning. I'm Nick Minot, WJLA. This question is for you, Senator, Congressman Supervisor, and Congressman Meyer. There are some essential workers being told right now on furlough leave that if they take sick leave, for annual leave, they risk being furloughed. So if someone takes a sick day for themselves, or let's say they had a trip planned with a loved one, they now have to cancel that or risk losing their job. What's your response to that?
This is just one more example of the lawless Trump administration terrorizing federal employees and trying to strip them of their rights. So it is flat out illegal. If they do that, I'm sure that Rob Schreiber and Democracy Forward and others will see them in court. Again, these are the laws of the land. And what we have is an administration that thinks it's above the law. And we're here to say we're going to fight for our Constitution, we're going to fight for the law, and we're going to fight for the American people and federal employees. That's what we want.
When you take away sick people, when you take away sick leave from people, that is breaking the law. And the reality is, when you force sick people to come to work, you're just going to make everyone else sick, especially in the middle of flu season. It's illegal, and we should fight that in court.
Thank you, Senator Van Hollen. Right now, because of the shutdown, federal workers are not getting their paychecks. And in the Senate, Senator Schumer, leader of the Democratic caucus, is saying that any CR must include an extension of subsidies for healthcare premium under Obamacare. What is more important to you, ensuring federal workers get paid quickly with the CR or continuing the fight for Obamacare subsidies?
Actually, just so you know, while you heard the House of Representatives is not doing its work, I mean, our Democratic colleagues are in the Senate. Senator Alsterbrooks and I and Senator Warner and Senator Kaine have now voted 7 times to keep the government open without giving this lawless president a blank check, and also making sure that we address the vital health care of the American people. So we call upon our Republican colleagues in the Senate to stop the big lie that somehow the government shutdown is forcing Russ Vought and the Trump administration to inflict pain on federal employees. That is a big lie. And reopen the government and vote for the proposal we put forward. Any other questions?
The only ones who are making the choice that you posit are Republicans. They're the only ones making that choice. Whether 20 million people lose their health care or 2 million plus people lose their jobs and their ability to support their families. The only ones making that choice are the Republicans.
We'll take just 2 more questions here, one here and one up there.